So I feel like we should finish the conversation from the last episode.
Oh, you're just going right into it, huh?
Yeah, for the jugular. I've got like all that Pluto and Leo energy going on. Um yeah, we like I feel like maybe if I would be so bold to put it forward that maybe you were kind of uh, feeling a bit projected upon, which was triggering, and then made the argument that any shadow that I feel like I can see in someone else is inherently my shadow. But I would argue that uh, it's not shadow or like my shadow if I'm seeing it with love, which is, in my opinion, the definition of discernment. It's being able to see like someone acting or behaving or whatever out of their own shadows, and understanding it with compassion and not necessarily judging them or seeking to change it in them or, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think if you're, it's like, what is it, Schrodinger's cat? Like, you don't know the cat's dead until you look in the box.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same idea in a way. It's like anything you see is really your perception of it.
Yes.
So it's like you can't say, like, oh, this is being this. That's your perception.
Well,
Anything.
that kind of puts me out of a job as a shadow worker, and I think it kind of puts everyone out of
No,
a job as
no.
their own.
No, I don't. I don't think that's true because you're just like, you're kind of just showing people how they see things. Might not be the truth. Like, or not, I don't know if I don't like saying that though, because I don't like the idea of like an absolute truth. So it's not necessarily a truth. I think it's more that you're showing people how they are perceiving things based on their experience.
Yes, that's an aspect of it for sure, and like part of the what allows me to do that is the fact that I have like so in to me love is, I mean, it's everything, but love, oh, this is going to sound so fucking
It already
but
does
love,
sound corny
shut up.
because like what is love? Like I love when people say like God is love or like
It is though,
love
because
is
okay,
everything. Like
love is pure neutrality. It's pure supportiveness but not
yeah, but
attachment.
if you're that doesn't make sense right there because how is love neutrality but it's supporting? So supporting means that it's decide. It's like choosing to give support.
Maybe it's not a choice, I don't know. Like I when I say support, I guess I mean like the fabric of the universe. Like it's not support in this way that's like, oh yes, I want you to succeed, because that's a will, right? It's not a will thing, it's just like a holding. And it's also like love, again, we like live laugh loving this shit. Love is
You don't
light.
have one of those signs in your house, do you?
No, I don't know why you think I'm such a stereotypical spiritual girly,
I
but I'm
do
not.
not. I don't, but I'm just asking.
You literally said you people in reference to like full star seeders
Yeah.
at me.
Just don't start doing light language.
No, but I think there's something in it a little bit. Like I think it's okay. I think it's when someone has like something to communicate, but they haven't actually put it through all of the levels of themselves yet. So they're
Yeah.
like communicating a vibration, but it doesn't have all the substance of like words and mentality to it and like the weight of like embodiment.
So why do you have to communicate it?
I feel like it helps some people, but like anything can help anyone, right? Like if the most naive person walked up to me and they're like, um, I'm ill, and I was like, oh, this magic bean will cure you, and they really, really believed it, it fucking would.
Yeah, I agree with
Because it's
that.
all right. Okay, anyway, so back to
Yeah.
love. Love is light, is consciousness. So when I see someone and I like love them regardless of the shadow and not in like a I'm blind to it, I'm just going to pretend it's not their way, in a way that's like I don't know, it's like pure discernment. It's like, you know, being able to see through the kind of shit that the actually that's not discernment either. Um my point being that what allows me to be such a clear discerner of people, of where they're at, of what their patterns are, X, Y, and Z, which I'm also not fallible in. You know, I still have aspects of myself that are still shadow, that I still haven't alchemized. So they are the aspects in which I wouldn't be able to see it in someone else clearly. Anyway, that's when I know that it's accurate, at least to a degree of truth, or, you know, like the way that I can describe it might be slightly different to how you perceive it, or like the actual evidence of the thing. But there's enough truth in it. There's enough resonance for it to actually track and carry. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think waking up spiritually is really just about kind of, I know, like a deeper awareness. You know, just being more and more aware of yourself
And others.
and others.
Hi, Dad.
Oh, Jory, want to say goodnight? Want to say goodnight?
Hi.
She can't see you.
Hi.
All right, good
Lean
night, Neil.
in. Bye.
Bye, buddy. I'll see you later. Bye.
It was so cute.
Um,
That's staying in.
yeah. So, I think it's just like being more aware of yourself and like how you uh, influence and affect your environment, and like also being simultaneously like aware of those around you
Hmm.
and the energy around you. And it's like you're kind of, as you become more aware, you kind of wake up to like the patterns, or you wake up to like, I think like a lot of it is we are just like programmed beings. So it's like you kind of just go through the motions of like what you're programmed to believe and think and feel. And then you become more and more aware that it's a program. And then there's like the actual true self of who you are, that internal like dialogue. I forget where I was going with this. But I guess in terms of like love, I think like love is really just like holding space for people to kind of maybe open up their awareness and kind of open up to like whatever they're feeling or judging about themselves, and kind of just let it out, so they eventually realize that it's all bullshit, that there's nothing to like really hold on to. What?
It's just the language is so uh, uh like nihilistic.
Well, I just think like, I think, you know, how much time and effort we waste kind of, you know, anything you feel shame or guilt about is really just bullshit, and it's made up. So it's like when you actually, like, I feel like the first emotional reaction to realizing that everything is bullshit is anger, for
That's
me.
telling. Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, because I think you like, it's like like I have kids, and I think kids are like by far one of the greatest teachers you could possibly have. And you realize like you're programming I'm programming my kids no matter what. No
Mm-hmm.
matter what I'm teaching them, whatever I'm putting them through, they just see me and react towards what I do.
Yep.
I may teach my kids differently than somebody else, but they're still like getting programmed by my beliefs, and I'm not there yet. I'm not 100%, like I still have my issues. So it's like it's going to carry down. What were you going to say?
But uh like I feel like programming is very like I'm doing it to you. You know what I mean? Whereas
Yeah.
like if you hold your kids with this like open hand and just provide them kind of like a safety container to pick up what they want or not want. Like you operate on your beliefs, they can pick them up if they like. So long as you're not like shoving it down their throats or like forcing them to comply, then it's not really programming per se. That's more like learning.
Yeah, but I think like I mean, I think most kids, if their parents have some sort of, I think your kids naturally find you more charismatic, because it's like you're their parent. And like I say things and my daughter just like repeats them word by word, that from like Jesus was a demon to like different stuff.
No.
But I was going through this whole
We need to
phase
talk about
about,
Jesus.
yeah, we can. But I was going through this whole phase where I was like saying that, like, having this idea around my head that the actual idea, the egregore of Jesus, kind of creates duality, which kind of keeps us trapped in like a 3D structure. So it kind of, it's like almost like parasitic. Anyway, we're going off track.
Okay, too many tangents at once.
Yeah, my point is that what was my point? Oh, so my kids, I try to teach them to be like very expressive and kind of say what's on their mind. And it's like they do things that, I was afraid to do in my 30s, like like my mom traditionally is very like rule based. She's a Leo. She's very like raised Catholic, has certain beliefs, thinks they're the only beliefs you're supposed to have. And my
Mm-hmm.
kids will like, if she's like bothering them, they'll like tell her that like they don't like how she's making them feel.
Mm.
Like, and I couldn't even do that in my 30s. Well, I would more antagonize than like tell her how I feel.
Yeah. Yep.
Because it felt better to kind of make her angry than have to deal with all my emotions. But I forget, there was more of a point to that story. But I guess it's just that like regardless, I think you just always have an influence in your kids. And I think the influence is what maybe shifts their identity. So they just hear your voice, like, so you have that voice in your head. Like I have my parents' voice in my head. If I do, I've worked on it, but it's like sometimes it's,
Really?
yeah, well, like, I think like with like something that is a hard thing to balance with kids is like, I don't necessarily believe in traditional like crime and punishment for kids, like
Yeah.
you do this, go to your room. Like I don't like how that makes them feel. And I never liked how it made me feel. But there's also like a part of this, like, I think we've talked about it before, of like this like idea with like toughness and like teaching your kids to be strong. And so it's like you want to there's a part of you that resists kind of being like a softer version than your parents, because you're like, are they gonna, that you have like that voice in your head, like, oh, are you raising them to be disrespectful, or so it's not that it's it's not that it's telling me what to do, but the voice is there,
Hmm.
you know. But I don't know. We were on a tangent. I don't know what we were
That's
even.
no. I mean, we're talking about programming, and I think like if I could just lay a soundbite into the chat, um, I think there is a difference between influence via leading by example and influence via duress. Yeah, solid. Moving on. Um, oh yeah, those voices, like of your parents, that to me is reflective of patterns not integrated, like
Yeah,
trauma and wounds not integrated. That's how I see, hear, and feel. Like I don't necessarily hear my mom anymore, but if I have a friend close to me who reflects some of those patterns, I will hear my friend like attacking me,
yeah,
just hypothetically in my head, and that to me is just like fucking there's a pattern, like right, it's just like
yeah,
um pecking at my head, and it's just always something to integrate. And I feel like when we, because I've had 1,000 million voices in my head, not in a schizophrenic way, but just in like a, am I doing the right thing socially, am I going to trigger people, blah blah blah, people pleasy, fawning way, um like I've gotten rid of so many now, and it's like now I can hear myself, now I can just
yeah,
hear, I would assume, my higher self like talking through, and the only time it gets nasty is when it's like distorted through those old patterns.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like I've definitely integrated a lot of that. Like, I don't care really.
Yeah.
I mean,
uh uh
oh, yeah.
You don't
No,
care
I'm
about
saying
it?
like I don't care. What I was gonna say was like I don't care what they necessarily think
Yeah,
of
exactly.
of me. Like, so it's like,
Yeah, but the voices in your head do.
yeah, but I don't really hear them anymore, to be honest. Like I used to. Um, and I think it just comes from like realizing just how like trapped they are in their own like programs and like systems. Like they don't even, like I feel like my mom doesn't really even know herself,
Hmm.
you know, or doesn't, she's not even aware of like her patterns.
Yeah, it brings me to a point, like when I see that kind of thing in, my parents and whatever, it brings me to a point where I'm just like, there's a more innate forgiveness when you can see them more and more as just someone who's suffered a lot of wounding and hasn't found a path out of the majority of it, and they just haven't, yeah, like they haven't like self-related, they haven't gone exploring. um but
Yeah.
it never over, like it never undid the patterns for me.
Yeah. Well, it's like,
I'm surprised that you say that you feel like you've just let them go via kind of just seeing your parents like what they are.
well, I don't think it was just that. I think it was a combination of kind of like working on like my own triggers and then like
Mm.
realizing like why do you have a trigger about this? And then like kind of breaking it down why I have a trigger about it and kind of and then realizing like it's really just bullshit. Like there's nothing to have this feeling for. It's just like a programmed thought that doesn't mean anything. You know, it's like I feel like sex is a great one to talk about, but it's like if you have some sort of shame based pattern, you know, like even I remember growing up, like the whole masturbation thing. Like I remember I had which now in this retrospect is really weird. I had this shirt, and at the time I don't even think I knew what it meant, but it was like Massimo. You remember the brand Massimo? It was like a
Yeah.
surfer type brand, and it said "Stop or you'll go blind." And I didn't even know what that meant. And like I wore it to school one day, and like a teacher was like, "Do you know what that means?" And I'm like, "No." And like he told me, and then I remember just like thinking about that, like thinking that they like told people basically like they really told people that they were gonna go blind if they masturbated.
Yeah, or grow like hair on their hands.
Hair on their paws, yeah. But like you have like this like shame of like, is it like wrong to do that? And then you like it's like I think we talked about before even like the whole thing with like meditation and quitting smoking,
Yeah.
where it's like if you sit in it and you like really enjoy it, then you enjoy it. Like what's, it is what it is. So if you're like pleasuring yourself and you like really think about it and like feel into like just the pleasure, it's like where is this shame coming from?
Mm.
Like there's it's like why are you feeling shame? You're feeling shame because you're programmed to believe that? Like there's no shame there. There's no shame in like feeling good.
Hmm. I mean, I've never really suffered. I've never suffered from that. I never had like any shame around masturbation specifically. I was just like, yeah, this is
No, but
great.
yeah, it's just like a thought. And it's like, but that was just like kind of an example.
Mm.
But it's like anything you're doing, it's like, what, like, and then like I think picking apart like their beliefs in front of them and them not having like a reason why, like,
Mm.
like even religion's a great example because you're like, why do you believe in Jesus? You know? Or like, why do you believe in this system? Like I like you go into I would go into like on TikTok, like you would get always like Jesus people when I was doing like mediumship, like, oh, you're evil, or it's like the devil. Like, why?
Mm. Yeah, but there's this aspect of like, why do you believe in the ghosts that you talk to? Why do you believe in Ra? Why do you believe like, you
Oh,
know what I
because
mean?
it's lived experience.
I think Jesus has lived experience for some people as well.
It is.
You
That's and
also.
yeah, but that's my no. My point is like that's 100% okay. Like I'm not judging them for believing in Jesus.
No, I know.
I'm saying though, like if if you came to me tomorrow and was like, I had a legitimate experience with Jesus. I've actually had a legitimate experience with Jesus, but
Mhm.
and was like, oh, this kind of helped me, and I realized some things, and he really shifted my perspective. That's awesome. Like
Great.
I'm all for your authentic experience. Like
Mhm.
if that's what resonates with you, that's who you are. But if you're just like, yeah, Jesus is the way and the answer, and what you're doing is evil. Okay, well, why do you feel that way? Jesus is the way, and you're evil. Like, okay, like, okay, so I'm gonna have some sort of issue with you. Like, no, I'm gonna think like you're just stupid and closed
Okay.
minded.
I need to take this a layer deeper right now because when people start telling the same stories again, I'm like, oh, there's a pattern.
Yeah,
And I was like, just previous to you telling that story about Jesus is the way, I was like, okay, maybe like this is just someone who just like pulls things apart mentally and disables them from like understanding that it like the belief just makes no sense and then you just let it go.
yeah,
But then the pattern came up and I was like, no, but the pattern's still fucking there. Like
yeah,
it's almost like intellectually you can invalidate someone else's perspective, not, with an intent to attack them, but to make sure that your beliefs aren't threatened or you don't have to like confront what it is that triggers you by their expression or like coming to you and being like,
yeah,
fucking, you're evil, follow Jesus, whatever the fuck. Like the pattern still remains
yeah,
regardless of the ability to pull it apart and be like, yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't change the emotional imprint on the body, in my opinion.
yeah. Well, I think the thing that triggers me with that whole thing is like, let's sit and have a conversation,
Mm.
and you're just like repeating something without having any sort of like explanation of your experience or like why you feel a certain way.
And which of your parents did that to you?
I would say both of them probably.
Mm.
I mean, my mom is very like rigid in like what she thinks and feels without any explanation of like what she like internally really feels.
I have two questions. First question, do you nowadays follow it up with with genuine curiosity without like any judgment? Do you like ask her follow-up
No, I don't.
questions?
I don't care anymore.
You just don't engage. Yes. Oh, see, there's the don't care as well.
Yeah,
Um
no, because it's like it's I think she's like kind of narcissistic in a way, and kind of like just I don't even like using that word, but like
Me neither.
she's just not. She gets validation by having drama. Like she doesn't care if there's an answer or there's like like she's never trying to like actually figure anything out. She just wants to be involved. Like that's
S-
how she gets validated.
Um to me, to expand on this perspective, negative beliefs are inherently insecure. They don't like they self-sustain in the evidential way in terms of us generating the evidence for them in the external world, but they're also very easily threatened by the external world, if it's presented with any alternative belief or like the positive version of the belief. And so when that happens in us, when we're not ready to confront the pain, the sadness, whatever, the anger inside of us, when we've kind of disowned our emotions and put them into our unconscious, that's when we'll start to either attack to like silence or annihilate, or like, gaslight, manipulate the external world in order to make sure that our beliefs remain stable and like non-threatened. So it like for someone carrying a lot of negative belief, inherently they kind of have to um yeah, like go on the attack, so to speak, because they feel like they're being attacked all the time by
Yeah,
a plethora of different things. Just
yeah.
mechanically, that's what's going on.
I don't have the energy to invest in her. That's the that's the truth. Like I just don't.
Fair.
It's been my
I'm
whole
not.
life.
You
You
don't
know.
have to.
I don't know, but like I feel like there is a part of me that thinks like there's a part of me that like wants to like see. I don't even like think getting into it because it's like I think I revert to like the savior complex of like wanting to like save her, and it's like it's not my job to save her.
No, it's not.
Like, and I know that like intellectually I know that, but there is a part of me that just wants to like break her open and like like I want to dose her with mushrooms one time. I tell her all the time that, oh, you ate that? I put mushrooms in that. Like just I want her to have like a big experience where she like frees herself from it.
Hmm.
But I try not to like get wrapped in that thread because it's like then I'm like, oh, she needs saving, and then I'm like projecting like the fact that like I think I could like save her, and it's not my
I mean,
responsibility.
her higher self is technically just choosing the experience, so it
Yeah.
is what it is. If she asks for help, I'm sure you'd give it.
Oh yeah. I actually did a healing on her like relatively recently, like maybe a year and a half ago, a year ago. And it did help me a lot for my own personal, issues. Like I saw it made me realize I've told you that like my grandfather died when she was a kid. I never met him, and I did a healing on her, and he came through, and really showed me the perspective that she's actually like basically trapped in that time,
Absolutely.
and that you're not like I'm not interacting with an adult. I'm interacting with an emotional child. And that's basically
Yes.
what it told me. And I felt like the awareness of that. And it like really opened my eyes to like realizing like she's just a kid. Like she's
Mm,
not an adult. So it's like
absolutely.
you try to have like an emotionally mature conversation with her. She can't do it.
Yeah. Plus, like, she's a kid. She's effectively a kid, and she is burdened with all of these responsibilities of the world that a kid should not necessarily have to take on, and she's reacting to it like a child would, you know?
Yeah. So it really opened my eyes when I did that healing.
Mm. Guess it was healing for both of you.
It was probably more healing for it was really more for me, I think, just
Yeah.
to like have that awareness, you know. But you know, it's everyday life. You just kind of slip sometimes into back to old patterns of like wanting to antagonize her because she's bothering me, you know.
Hmm. I mean, I think there's something in the role of kind of like the Joker or the Heyoka, the like kind of dark aspect of the Joker, which is like, okay, well, you're not choosing, healing and consciousness, and I still want to relate to you. So I guess I'm just going to take this more lighthearted and play with it a little bit, not
Yeah,
in like a cruel, vitriolic way, but just like we'll test the limits in an entertaining way.
yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that kind of because I've been thinking about this kind of lately. Is I feel like there's people who were in my life that I guess we're just not matching anymore frequency wise, and it's like they're just disappearing. Like,
Because like they're just happen, like you're just not really talking to them, and they're not really talking to you.
yeah, but it's like even like people that I was like sort of close with, like just like we can't make plans, like it just won't work out. Like something
Mm,
comes up or they can't make it, and it's been like consistent for like the last year, like people just
yeah.
kind of falling away who I think were like kind of in an older version of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I just find it funny how it's like there's a bunch of people that just like I haven't linked up with anymore. And it just seems so obvious to me that it's like just not matching frequency wise.
Plus, that's kind of part of the whole ascension slash split between, timelines slash densities is
I
going
know.
on. It's like people will literally just start to kind of disappear.
I know. I was kind of like creeping myself out. Like, what if they're really just like dead in this
I mean,
timeline?
aren't we all dead
Yeah.
all the time?
Yeah. That's my theory.
So they are and they aren't Schrodinger's human.
Yeah. It's been funny though because I there's one friend like I grew up with who like I feel like I stay friends with him just out of like sentimental purposes. Like we don't align and we don't like have very similar beliefs and just, but like we kind of always stay in touch.
Hmm.
And it's like I go to make plans with him and then like something comes up, he can't come. And then like we do it again and then I can't go. And then like it's been like a bunch of times and I've noticed like similar people on like his similar wavelength that I feel like I'm a loyal person in a way. Like I stay friends with people maybe just because out of like sentimental value, and they just like we don't link up anymore.
I'm like thinking about a couple of episodes ago, and you said, like, I was talking about, letting some people go out of my life, and you're like, no, you're like calling this to you. Like, and now all these people are falling out of your life, and it's like, it's totally fine.
Yeah, no, I think it's weird. Kind of, it kind of like I don't know. I think I'm much more sentimental than I put out there. You know.
Okay, question. When you like make these plans originally with the people, are you actually excited to see them, or does it kind of feel like emotion?
It kind of feels like emotion.
Yeah.
I think like part of me thinks I should have friends, and
Oh,
I don't
you have
necessarily.
friends, dude.
Yeah, but I'm saying like I don't really like. I don't know. Just like
What?
just I don't really like. I like being alone. Like I like
That's
being
fine.
with my wife. I like being with my kids. Um, I like talking to you. Like, but we're not friends in the physical reality in a sense.
Yeah, with like, do you have to be like in the physical
No,
to be
no.
friends?
I'm just saying. But like. on your day-to-day life, like you want friends who are like around you, you know, like I want to, and I just feel like I don't really find people within my vicinity that I like have good friendships with.
I it's funny you said that, and I was just thinking about the whole density thing and getting into the fourth density, fifth dimension. Because that is, to me, that's, I mean, it's a frame of consciousness that we can bring into the physical, um as much as we can. I hesitate to say this. I could be wrong, just for everyone listening. Um, I feel like these two layers are kind of merging in a way. Like it's a space, it's a paradigm, it's a level of reality which you can go into, and I feel like they're kind of crossing over, maybe. But that being said, like, uh, at the very least, I think that moving forward, we're going to have more um out of body experiences, in the sense that we'll go to that level and be consciously, like, as Pete, as V, like interacting with the beings around us. When I'm there, I can tell, I'm like, oh, this is my aunt, who lives
Yeah.
out in the next state over. um she doesn't look like my aunt. She looks like this crazy thing with like wheels and fucking cogs and gears and all this shit going on, but like, it's my aunt. It's just like a soul resonance thing. I think that's going to happen more and more. Like, I think that we are going to be like meeting up with our friends in what feels like a kind of quasi physical way. This sounds so wild, but it all just came into my head as you were saying it. So I think that there is that aspect, and um part of this, like, for it's only been the last, I don't know, a couple hundred years maybe, that we've really had a lot of kind of intercontinental, intercultural relationships going on. Like, the internet has absolutely peaked that. Maybe it'll keep going, but we're all kind of also like the ones who are really conscious, kind of like pulling back into our own little worlds. And that feels almost like a interdimensional protection. Like, you say that you're not being able to tee up these meetings with old friends and stuff, and it's like, would either of you be able to handle it? Like, would they not be either looping on their shit, or um maybe just even just like in a different frequency in which neither of you really have any shared interests? Like, what's um there's something that feels protective about it. There's something that feels like, no, this isn't meant to have, like, it's going to be, too much frequency on one side, or um whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's also like a sign of like things shifting for me
Mm,
because I'm like, you know, just noticing like little subtle changes that are starting to happen. So hopefully it's just a reflection of more change to come.
always. Will you ever stop changing? Because I won't.
I feel like I might want to stop changing at one point and
Mm,
just like coast a little bit, you know, or put it on
maybe.
autopilot and just like enjoy. I don't know. Yeah, I guess change, like, I'm always, you know, looking at myself. So I guess you're always becoming more and more aware of like what you're doing and how you see things. So it's like, I think it change is just inevitable.
Yeah, and I, like, to clarify, when I say change, I don't necessarily mean in this like fucking painful, tumultuous, alchemizing way. Like, um, I think it's just more like detecting the flavors of the moment or the time, and then just being like, I want to try this thing. I want to go after that. Like, that kind of change, that really flowy, enjoyable, blissful, kind of just moving into whatever the fuck resonates in the moment change.
Yeah, it's feeling like, to be honest, the change I think is feeling easier than it used to. Like I think it used to be a lot more shocking when you're just like all of a sudden like realize like, oh, this is, this needs to change. Like just realizing big shifts where you're like, oh, I can't think of like what I want to say, but there's just it felt more shocking and more violent. Where now it's like just I think I like we were talking about like the inner awareness is like I think the voice is a little louder. It's a little more
Mm.
clearer, so it's like it's a truth more or your truth.
Yep.
So it's not as like shocking to like make a little decision that shifts things.
Yeah.
Where you hear your inner dialogue say, "Oh no, I feel this." Like, you know, declare what you feel, or like, or you those little moments of like just little
Clarity.
shifts. What? Crying?
Clarity.
Oh.
Yep. Crying.
No,
Clarity.
I think crying helps a lot of people.
I didn't say crying.
I know, I thought you did. But
Hmm.
yeah, today, I think I was telling you, my dad's like best friend had a stroke, and
Mm-hmm.
he like it was kind of a shitty story because the guy, he like lives alone. His wife died already, and he like really doesn't take care of himself. He just like really keeps to himself. My dad is like his only friend that like kind of tries to keep him like busy and like active, and so he had like a stroke, and I guess he's in like pretty bad shape, and they're giving him like 50% survival. And like my dad comes to my house a lot because he's like retired, and he helps me around the house, and he was like kind of noticeably upset. And I like gave him a hug, and I'm like, "Are you all right?" And like he started to like cry a little bit. And my dad's not an emotional guy at all, so and for me to like I don't feel like I ever felt comfortable like kind of being like that to him. I don't know, like
It's too sweet. Like my heart.
yeah. Yeah, even I think my wife even reacted to me like comforting him because she was there too. And it was like, I don't know, he's just like not that type of guy. And I was thinking about like I could tell he was upset, obviously, like I feel him and stuff. So like part of me was just like feeling uncomfortable about that, but then like there was this other like the inner dialogue kind of kicked on, and it was just like, he's a human being, like have compassionate, like be compassionate for him, like
Yes.
if and I always think like what would I want if I felt like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what made me like that inner little click of like, he just needs somebody to like support him. Where like maybe years ago, I would just tell that voice to shut the hell up. Like, you know?
I'm curious about the inner dialogue that was like you being uncomfortable with the fact that he got emotional.
Um, yeah, I think like, why would I feel uncomfortable? Why did I feel uncomfortable? I don't know. Cause I would say the first things first is like, I've talked to you about it before, is like I feel like growing up he was somebody who kind of um ruled the environment by like his emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like his mood was like the tone.
Yeah.
So it's like if he's having uncomfortable emotions, I feel like my initial reaction is just like, am I going to have to deal with his shit, like cuz
When you
I
say deal with, do you mean
it's just
like,
like his demeanor changes, and then it's like everybody's dealing with how he feels.
mm-hmm.
So I would say like the child part of me would be uncomfortable because you're like you got to deal with his emotions.
But by deal with, do you mean like like how would you feel if you had to like quote deal with his emotions again? Like, does it kind of scare you? Does it make you
I don't think
feel a
it's
bit
scared.
insecure?
It's just like it's just uncomfortable because it's like it could be a confrontation, it could be whatever, you know, it's like when I first moved into my house, like he's been retired and he helps me and I appreciate a lot of he does a lot of things that really do help me, you know, like work that sometimes I can't get done or, you know, he'll like do a lot of odds and ends and uh but he's very like meticulous with things and stuff like that. So like if I took a tool or something, he would like give me a or like I lost one of his thing whatever, so he would give me an attitude and then he would like hold the attitude the whole time he was at my house.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like dealing with that, like always having to deal with like a confrontate like you don't know how he's gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
Until like one day I just we almost got into a fist fight. He actually swung at me
Mm-hmm.
and I actually laughed because I was just like, "You're an old, you know, like you're old. What do you think you're gonna do? Beat?" He actually, I laughed because I thought he actually thought he could beat me up, like, and I'm just like, but you know, it's just like I think it goes more to like being responsible for how people feel,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and like having to like have that feel, you know, have that confrontation. Like I don't want to deal with it.
I'm just like, this is part of our whole exchange. Um, you keep saying uncomfortable, and I keep like, what emotion is uncomfortable? Because uncomfortable is not an emotion; it's a feeling of like, I don't want to look at that. What's
Yeah, I don't think it's. I don't want to look at. To me, it just feels what is uncomfortable emotionally. Makes me feel tired. Like it's almost like I don't want to like get on with your life. Like why are you sitting in this like feeling forever?
uh huh.
Like
Yeah,
why hold anger for 3 days? Like
but that's the projection, right? Like that's, you get the external stimulus, it comes to you, you get uncomfortable. Instead of going, okay, what's the emotion? You go, why is he being like this? Like, how,
yeah,
what, can't he just not do that? Like,
yeah,
bounce it back outwards instead of going deeper inwards. This is the
yeah,
going down.
yeah. I would say it's probably anger because I don't want to fucking deal with it.
Bingo. And that exhaustion, that tiredness comes because when we, like, anger is such a powerful emotion, like there's so much energy in it. And when we repress it to keep
Yeah,
things stable, to not rock the boat, to whatever the fuck, it uses double the energy. So it's like the anger itself and then that to hold it down. And then it's just like, fuck. Like it's pure, like ultimate self repression in a way. And it's like, of course, it's understandable that you get angry because you're like defensive and it like probably throws you back into that mind state of like when you're a kid and your dad's like stomping around the house and whatever. But
yeah,
like it's that anger that you can get in touch with, and then you won't actually feel threatened when he gets emotional. You'll just be able to empathize and hold a boundary if you need to, and relate to him and maybe actually help him through it if you feel like it.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess part of me just doesn't want to. Like, I don't like you're a grown ass man. I don't know. It's still like an anger towards him that I feel
But
like.
he doesn't exist.
What do you mean?
Everything's internal, right? You're
Yeah.
creating it all. So like it's in you.
Oh yeah. I'm not. I'm not denying that. I think like he just. I just hold on to a lot of like stories from when I kind of felt like powerless to like his anger.
The stories are the symptom. Like so the stories in the mental layer and they are the symptom of still the emotional wound being present, and the
Yeah.
belief, whatever's above that. The belief will be something like, I'm not safe when someone gets emotional around me, or X, Y, and Z, or like angry specifically, right? Because you seem to be like, obviously, I'm a moon baby. I cry a lot, and you're fine with that.
Yeah.
But then anger might be a whole different story. Like anger might be the thing that triggers that kind of like uh withdrawal response, and your natural anger coming up to meet it is like,
Yeah.
you know
But what's interesting with that is like, for some reason, I could be very confrontational.
mm,
Like people who know me, like it's kind of why I've been successful, I think, too, in my job, in my field, because I like to like stand up for people, and like, I usually have a group of people who work with me, and um in certain aspects, like I like when people are angry. I don't it doesn't bother me. But then on other aspects, there are times where it does, like, and I don't want to and I feel like the similarities are when somebody is like him, in the sense that like they're kind of like, you know what it is, it's almost like it's like dramatic, or like if I'm having a confrontation with somebody, for example, whatever, like, I'm trying to think of the last confrontation that comes to my mind. The last confrontation I had with somebody at work was somebody who was like kind of like a boss, project manager, and he was trying to screw like some guys over. So I went to his office and kind of confronted him, and got face to face with this guy, like had my hand clenched, like I caught
really?
myself, like that type of confrontation. And
Okay.
then that felt good. Like I liked it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because I could tell he was like intimidated, and just, we solved the problem. What?
No, no, nothing. It's all part of the journey. Keep going.
There's different worlds, and the blue collar world respects classic like masculinity,
Uh-huh.
you know, and that's the truth. Like, I don't, you know, now the guy I work with currently, he's somebody who like has these like hissy fits, and gets angry, and like storms off, or like walks away yelling stuff, but doesn't really like confront people, So it's almost like it's like they're being like dramatic, or like babies about things. Like they're not like actually saying how they feel. So I feel like
Yeah.
that's a reflection of my own shadow of like, I don't always say how I really feel, you know?
Yes, that's an aspect of shadow for sure. Um, to me, the shadow is more like I focus more in on the childhood trauma or wound or whatever. Like it's a shadow of your relationship with your dad. And question, um, a minute ago you said something like what was it? Oh yeah, it was like sometimes you're okay with people being angry and sometimes you're not. And I would be like, are you okay when someone's angry at something that you're angry at or something outside of you? Versus if someone's angry and it feels like it might actually be pointed at you.
That's, you just gave me a great thought. That's what it is.
Mm.
That's the connect. You're good at what you do.
Thanks.
Um, that's what it is. That's the difference. That's the huge difference. I'm okay with being confrontational and people being angry at me if it's me,
Mhm.
if I'm causing them to be angry.
Okay.
But if it's somebody else, like something outside of me, and somebody's being angry at me when I have no cause of your anger, that's the issue.
Mm.
That's what bothers me. Because I didn't do anything. Why are you fucking being angry at me?
Mhm.
Like, I don't deserve that.
And your anger wants to come up and defend yourself, but you generally don't let it.
Because I think, because it's my own internal thing where I think, like, really, you didn't do, like, it's like, what I'm doing what you're doing in a
Yep,
way.
you're
Like,
meeting them
you're,
on their level.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's like it's like a power thing. Like, you're taking my power from me. You're control.
Or you're giving it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Good point. Yeah.
No one can actually take your power from you, I don't think. I don't feel like.
Uh,
Not your true power.
yeah, I agree. But it's like I think you can be like almost consented by manipulation.
Yeah, but it's still like you're still giving your power away.
Yeah, you're
It's
still
not it's
giving it
not like a
away.
it's this isn't like a victim blaming thing. It's not like a, oh, it's your fault when you get like screwed over by people, but it's just like a, hey, don't forget that you still have power kind of jam.
Yeah, like you're always in control.
Mhm. Precisely. So all of this very much is still tying in with that, like, childhood experience of like having your dad just be like emotionally volatile all the time and you having to control yourself. I now want to ask, like, was there points in your childhood where you got angry at him and snapped, and like how did that result?
I kicked him in the nuts once.
Uh-huh.
I'll never forget that. And I probably was like 6 years old, and I
Mm.
just remember like kicking, like him getting mad or something, and like, I don't know, wanting to like discipline me, or I think he was gonna like hit me or something. And as soon as like I stood up to like meet him, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna kick him right in the fucking nuts. I don't know if I did it out of reaction anger though. I think I just did it, and I'll never
All
forget because
right.
I like really hit him, and like it like dropped him to his knee.
Uh-huh.
And I remember, like, I'll always remember that sec. I think it was because you ever see the movie, um, what is it, Monster Squad?
Mm,
It's like an
I
'80s
probably
movie.
I've probably deleted it
Yeah,
if I have.
yeah. Well, this kid kicks Wolfman in the nuts, and I remember that. So I guess that's why I went for the nuts.
Yeah. Okay. But okay. And how did he react? Like, did you get punished for it afterwards?
Honestly, I think he was so surprised that I just did it that he didn't know how to react. Like, I think it
Wild.
shocked him, you know?
Okay.
Um, but no, I don't think I ever really snapped,
Hmm.
you know?
So it was kind of like innate in you to just like pull yourself back and go into that
Yeah,
like defensive kind of freeze.
I think I naturally like detach. That's my like I don't care thing, you know? Like I naturally just like I think I got more enjoyment out of not showing him that you don't like bother me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think
I
that's
get it.
my natural reaction, or that's my
I would,
way.
yeah, I would say it's a survival mechanism. Like I would say
Yeah.
it's a learned pattern at some point. Um and I feel like if we could at some point, whether on the pod or not, like uh get you to a point where you're like ready to fucking scream about it, like the actual childhood stuff, it might actually just undo a lot of that pattern. Cause like, when you're talking about confronting that person at work, and I feel like, when we're alchemizing stuff, like if you've been stuck in a state of like kind of freeze or fawn or whatever, like not standing up for yourself, it's kind of to a degree healthy to like swing back in the other direction and go on the attack and like defend yourself in a more active, like masculine way,
Yeah.
because the pulling back is more of like a feminine response, just energetically, not gendered. um but there is a middle of that pole, which is actual integration of your wound, in which you'll be able to see the higher perspective. Hold, like even that person at work, right? Like that guy is like your mom. He is frozen in a certain age in his life as well. Doesn't mean it's your responsibility, but it means that like if you're integrated, you can go in and address that without like needing to go like toe to toe with someone, like it can just be like this very assertive conversation that still has that kind of blue collar masculine flavor to it, if you like, because I feel like that's kind of innate to you in a way, but it would be more like you would be the adult in the situation
Yeah.
and really grounded in, rather than meeting them on their level, which isn't
Yeah.
like, not to just, I feel like you took like this massive leap and I'm like, go further, but yeah, I think
I
it's
actually
like that's
already
part of
had
the
a
balancing.
conversation with him.
There you go. How was that?
He didn't really hear me, I don't think, but
Mm,
I just told him that he needs to like respect people and how he communicates, and like as somebody who's supposed to be like in a leadership position, you can't just like throw hissy fits,
yeah.
and you can't just shut down, get angry and shut down and not communicate with people. Like
Mm.
everybody's a grown up here. Like you can express your anger without shutting down. You know?
That's fucking wild, because could take that sound clip and play it back to you, and that's exactly what you need to hear in
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I feel like I do express my anger though. Like, I don't, I
Okay.
do. I mean,
You
this guy, the same guy, I basically told him he's a piece of shit, and like a while ago, I got into like a thing with him and like his superior, and just
mhm,
basically said they're both pieces of shit, and
mm.
expressed like full anger,
Yeah,
screaming at
went for the
them.
character assassination kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Well, they did something that was like they tried to like do work on the job on like days off and not pay guys
Mm.
who like they were supposed to bring in, and they did the work themselves, so they wouldn't have to pay people overtime because it was like
Right.
a weekend thing they had to do.
So, I would make clarity here. When I say express your anger, uh, I'm not talking about expressing it at someone. I'm talking about expressing it for you, like screaming into a pillow, punching the boxing bag, whatever the fuck. Um, Not that, yeah, I feel like a lot of people's positions is like there's a degree of like healthy anger, but I'm going for the full Zen mystic path. So I'm just like about alchemizing it and then coming to a place of true detachment. Not that I don't care, freeze, not addressing it detachment, but the like, I'm going to deal with this and have the conversation or set the boundary or whatever the fuck in like a fully empowered, um, higher self kind of way. That's my method anyway. Like anytime I get those
Yeah, but
triggers.
like if you're angry at somebody,
Mhm.
you're saying you're never really angry at somebody. Your anger is really from you
It's from
having
your
like
past.
an experience.
Yeah, it's really like on like a higher level in which time doesn't exist, it's from the belief inside of you. On, if we take time into consideration, it's really at, some parent in the past. And when we talk about like the alchemy of it, because once you've integrated it, the pattern generally doesn't really come back into your life. Like it doesn't become a problem for you. It just becomes something that you navigate naturally without necessarily needing to put effort into figuring out, like what's right and what's wrong and where are the boundaries, because your higher self just knows how to appropriately navigate it. And it's not even navigating in the sense that it's an issue for you in that moment. It's more like I can see that someone else is struggling with a thing, or like my team is being, I don't know, shit on by this boss or whatever the fuck. So I can just, as a natural leader, step in and be like, okay, we need to discuss this without the fist fight.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you're like, we'll call it like higher self detached, you're
Hmm.
just seeing the the experience. You're not putting yourself into the experience where you're like, oh, I've been mistreated like this before or whatever, and then you're having the anger from that past experience.
Yeah, kind of. It's like in my experience of it, it's more like um your version of detachment, right? The I don't care, just like full I don't know, energetic wall, I guess, is more like um what's it called? Dissociation. It's more like going out of body. It's more like I'm not going to be in this situation. I'm not going to like it's a fear response ultimately at the end of the day. And when you've kind of actually integrate it. And when I talk about integration, we're talking about finding the balance between the two poles. We're talking about having one's full own autonomous power and complete natural control over oneself, one's mind, one's thoughts, emotions, X, Y, and Z, because the emotion isn't there to it does it's not coming through so hard or so distorted that it's like ruling you. It's not um you get to a point, like, so with anger, for example, you get to a point in which you have like a flash, just a tiny little flash of anger, and we're not talking about like seeing white. We're just talking about like someone's like trying to step to me or intimidate me or whatever the fuck. And then you go, oh, but I've like, it doesn't feel threatening anymore. It feels um not even like comedic, more just like you like naturally empathize with the person. You're like, oh, they feel really insecure right now, like what are they trying to communicate, where's this coming from in
Yeah.
their childhood. I don't know if everyone would be able to do this, but generally I see conceptually the patterns that they are dealing with in their experience in that moment.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, okay, and how can I, with kind of responsibility and boundaries and X, Y, and Z, uh, respond to this rather than react. Because I feel like the two poles that you kind of are sitting between is like um, freeze, which is a refusal to respond or react, and react, which is like the kind of I'll punch you energy. And
Yeah.
then yeah, this is like that integration of the emotion, the trauma, like really being able to just feel how you felt when you were a child and like sit in that or express it healthily in a pillow or whatever. Um, that brings you to that middle point of like pure integration. And then you have the actual power. And it's not in this way that's like, I have power over you, fucking dickhead guy. It's like, I have power over myself and I know how I'm going to navigate this. And then it's just like, mic drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Mm.
I have to try to yell into a pillow, I guess. I lose my voice easy though. Like when I yell.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Let it, like, I lose my voice sometimes when I scream. It takes a lot. I'm very, Leonian. But I feel like that's part I feel like that's part there's something just so fucking raw and visceral about it. And like having that like husky voice the next day, I'm like, I transmuted that. Like
Yeah.
I'm so into it. Like, um it's like good sex, when you feel it the next day and you're just like
Yeah. Where else we gonna go with this?
um we could talk about Jesus. I really want to hear. So, to catch everyone up with the story, last, well, like Pete and I stopped talking for a while. Um, and before we stopped talking, you were reading a book about the teachings of Jesus and kind of like the
Which
more
one do you
appropriate
remember?
interpretation. I think it was one your mentor gave you.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's Love Without Conditions by Paul Farini. I still
Yeah.
really recommend that book.
Yeah,
I
it's
probably read it like 20 times.
exactly. So now I want to dig into like in between this time, right? At that time, you were reading the book about Jesus and you're like, I love this book. It's so great. Jesus, blah, blah, blah. And then I come back and you're like, fuck Jesus. Like, he's a devil
I
egregore.
was
Like, what the fuck happened?
no, you gotta go. You gotta see all sides, all
I.
perspectives.
I do see all sides, but I still sense an energetic discrepancy here, and I just want the story.
I don't think there's any. I think I just like was really in a phase of breaking down like the idea of good and bad. Um, and I was just thinking about like how maybe Jesus served his purpose in like the 3D reality. I mean, you could go all over the place with this because there's a part of me that like that all the Abrahamic religions are really just like worshiping Saturn, and they're not like Jesus isn't really even a part of it. It's kind of this like construct to kind of use to reinforce good and bad and like all the sins and stuff like that, and like feeling guilty about like your natural like maybe animalistic behaviors or thoughts and feelings, and then you just kind of like get wrapped in this like cycle of like feeling certain ways, especially like sex or whatever, and then like judging yourself because like it's hard because it's like Jesus taught certain things, but then like the Bible was written to kind of manipulate people socially. So
Hmm.
it's like, and then those ideas, gather energy and create egregores that kind of reinforce all these like social constructs. So it's like, what's really the truth? And then backed by like Jesus is the way, those types of people who like
Hmm.
don't really, I feel like they don't really connect to necessarily the spirit of like Christ or the energy of Christ consciousness. They
Yeah.
connect more to like the rigidity and the discipline aspect. And then it's the same people who are like scientific materialists, like, oh, why is science the way? Well, yeah, it's science, like it's proven or whatever. Like they have these like predisposed like phrases of like why you should get vaccinated or what, whatever.
Hmm.
So I think it's the same thing in terms of like Jesus. Sometimes people want to have this like, they want to be on this like pedestal of like being on the right side of history, so they just latch on to like a phrase of like, oh, don't do meditation because it's evil, or don't do these things, it's evil because I'm doing the right thing, you know
It's so interesting that you say I want to be on the right side of history because I come more from, the left, I guess. The right side of history does not, like, I would not associate being on the right side of history with Christianity at all, just conceptually. Um in my past, I mean, like that's, I would have taken the opposite position that the right side of history is all the science stuff and being a scientific materialist and being an atheist and all of that, because it has felt like all of the kind of opposing forces of that have been the great sources of misery in the world. Like Christianity, how much fucking chaos and destruction has Christianity caused? Fuck.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like they're using things to fit their perspective, and then they're focusing on the things that reinforce their beliefs. They're not looking at the whole picture,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Well, beliefs are naturally reinforcing. So anytime you're looking external, your beliefs are inherently enforcing themselves, whether that's negative or positive beliefs. Like everyone does that. If you externalize your reality, that is inherent.
Yeah.
And you get kind of like unconsciously lucky per se if you stumble across something that like holds and challenges your beliefs in certain areas, like me with the comic book. Um, or psychedelics or whatever the fuck, if it can challenge you in an expansive way that doesn't feel terribly threatening, then you might have a way out of it. But I guess it to me it just comes down to the kind of dichotomy between, are we internalizing our realities or are we externalizing them? Because as soon as you internalize them, you just pull apart.
Hi.
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 What's up, Joe? I thought you were going to sleep.
What?
Mommy's downstairs.
Oh.
Oh, hold on one sec. All right.
Oh.
Thanks, buddy.
Do you have a water?
Hold on a sec. What?
It's fine. It's totally fine.
A what?
A cup.
Why are you guys all coming in here right now? You do it on purpose. Do you want to say hi?
Hi.
She's saying hi. You can't hear her because she's in my headphones. All right.
Give him the microphone.
All right, Anna. Come on. She can't see you. You're right here.
Hello.
All right, Anna. Come on. Go to bed.
Hey.
Hi, Anna.
Go to bed. Go to bed. Jesus. Anytime I'm doing something in here, she always comes in after I tell her, like, oh, I'm going to do a podcast. All right. Good night. I'll see you later. She loves to just do that. So,
It's cute. It's too cute.
what were we talking about now? Jesus.
Jesus.
Externalize, internalize.
Externalize, internalize. Right. Yeah. So it's just like any time, because now, I mean, and it's a process, but reality's fucking flexible. It's fluid. It'll support whatever the fuck you want. And you create it internally. That's it. That's all there is to it. Like, you can force it to change externally, or you can create the illusion in which you're changing it externally, but it's like such an expenditure of energy and effort, and usually working against the natural flow of everything in the universe. And I don't know.
Do you ever think, like, do you think, I was thinking about this the other day about, like, even psychedelics. Do you think that things can force you to, like, see something that you're actually not, like, your beliefs aren't reinforcing?
Like what?
Like, um, like if, like, you have a near death experience or something, like, say I have a near death experience, and right now, like, me and you, we have, like, maybe like universal consciousness type of, like, belief structure, or
Mm.
we're all one, that type of stuff. And then I have this near death experience, and actually it's like traditional Christianity is like the truth in that experience. Like, oh, I go and I see hell, and then, like, I go to heaven and see the pearly gates, and I'm like, I come back and I'm like, oh my god, like, I need to get back to Christianity. Like, that's the answer,
Um,
Like, do you think you could have experiences where it's, or is that like some sort of deep rooted belief that I have, that, like, oh, maybe I have a fear that Christianity is right. So I have this like near death experience, and my brain tells me, like, because of my deeper beliefs, that, oh, this is the experience you're gonna have because that's your deepest truth.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's my deepest truth because it is like almost programmed into me. Because when I was a kid, I was going to church at 4, and that's like, a deep belief in me.
Yes.
Yes,
It's like
what?
it's um let me see. Oh fuck, this is gonna go so deep. All right. So A, um you can create any experience, especially in the non-physical, that is created by the lens of the perception of yourself. So like there are a lot of mystics out there who are Christian mystics. There are a lot of mystics out there who are Muslim. There are a lot of, you know what I mean? Like there's mystics all around. They've usually seen through the bullshit aspects of whichever, if they are in a religious paradigm, they've usually seen through those aspects through the process of having those um non-physical encounters with self, and then they usually get like either martyred or like um vilified, kind of pushed into the fringes or whatever the fuck. We did speak about an NDE in which a Christian woman, had the experience of hell and went all the way through it to the point where she kind of came back to neutral, because of the beliefs that she held about the idea of going to hell and being punished for things. Because when she went through, presumably she saw all of the aspects of herself in which she was kind of doing all the things that she was condemning, and then had to go through with all of the bullshit. It was a wild story too. I'll send you the clip. um that being said, I'm kind of at a place now where I'm like I had this experience this morning in which I could kind of see that, like, even the paradigm that we're going into now is still a set of everything is construct. Everything is constructs. Like when you talk about the higher levels of reality, like if you've got the one, the all, the everything, one layer out of that is like the angelic layer. But I think in a non-religious context, they're actually the architects of reality. They're like, I think that they're known as the architects. And I feel like for all these levels of reality, it's just like construct with a construct inside it, with a construct inside it, with a construct inside it. And yeah, I just feel like the universe is exactly what we kind of want to make of it. What resonates for me is like Bashar's 5 laws of the universe, and they're the only ones that don't really change necessarily. And there's paradox in there too. And beyond that, everything is created off of belief and then higher constructs. So I think absolutely you could have different experiences that challenge that. And I think that part of the kind of religious paradigm being upheld for so long is in part because there was a lot of like mystics and saints and things who saw things through that lens and could still hold the religion and slight expansiveness, and embodiment of self regardless. Let me put it like that.
Yeah.
Was that a
Well,
lot?
no, I don't. I think. Well, I think I sent you a clip about this like spirit box,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And it was some sort. I guess this person was communicating with the spirit from the spirit box, and um, the spirit box was kind of talking about like Aleister Crowley and this like entity that he communicated with, known as like Lamb,
Mm.
and uh, that the spirit was telling the person that the entity is like evil. It's like the devil, and that Aleister Crowley is like in internal damnation. And the reason I sent the clip, actually, another friend of mine sent it to me and was like, "What is your thoughts?" Because she knows that I've worked with lamb because I've had experiences with lamb. And I just told her that as long as you have an identity, you can project your beliefs from that identity. That identity is what, is basically your beliefs, and it's a culmination of your beliefs. So just because you go into the energetic realm, you don't necessarily lose your belief system.
My question, my first question for it is like, who the fuck? What entity was it? What level of reality are they on? Like, are they fourth density? Are they fifth, sixth? Like, what? Who was it replying?
Oh, I don't even know, to be honest. It might have been like a person. So it's like,
Like a
like,
ghost kind of
yeah, like
spirit? Yeah.
like a spirit person. But
Yep.
it's like you look at anything from your perception and your judgment. So it's like, somebody who maybe is more healed could look at something that might be perceived as evil and not see the evil, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But somebody who like has a lot of shadow and kind of has a lot of unconscious urges and whatever might look at that and be like, "Oh, that's evil." Like it's all about you and how you perceive it.
Exactly.
Because that's why I don't like the whole like good and bad. It's To me, it's more of like chaos and order. Like you might look at an entity like Lamb who might be perceived as like chaos or like stirring up energies within you, because that's what I think it does. I think it like brings up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like I forgot the work I kind of did with it, but I felt pulled to it, and then like read a book about like rituals working with lamb,
Mm-hmm.
and I just remember just feeling more like an energy coming up, and like it would just like randomly give me thoughts throughout the day of like, oh, why do you believe this or why do you believe that, and kind of just like look at things. The energy felt like very like it it's a unique energy, and it felt like kind of like an archetypical energy.
Which archetype would you relate it to, or which archetypes?
um it just felt kind of like an old like structure. I don't know how to explain it better than that. Like it was like I'm not sure of the guy's name, but he was like Aleister Crowley's like he like trained under Aleister Crowley, but he like kind of opened up his own order and wrote a lot of books, and he wrote about actually connecting to like 12 different types of lamb. Like there's different archetypes. He believed that they were Syrian like aliens basically, but Aleister Crowley believed it was like his holy guardian angel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it it almost like the best way probably to describe it is like, do you know what the like plutonic solids are?
No.
Um,
Plutonic solid, like Pluto.
yeah, like Pluto, not the planet.
Oh,
Plato. What am I saying it
platonic.
wrong? Yeah,
I don't, but tell me if you can.
they're supposed to be like kind of like geometric like shapes that correlate to the like. It's probably better
Like
if I
sacred
look up like,
geometry?
yeah, but like more in like a three-dimensional scale. That's kind of like how it felt, the energy.
So it felt
So,
geometric to you.
well, all right. So, platonic solids are the most symmetrical 3D shapes possible. They were studied by ancient Greeks, especially Plato, who associated them with the classical elements.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that he believes like they are like almost like foundational geometric symbols that correlate to spiritual, philosophical, and metaphysical symbolisms. So it kind of like felt like some sort of like almost like like an aspect of like how the universe is organized.
Yeah, sounds like an architect.
Yeah. And it was just like I would have like weird visions with him where everything was like I would almost get into like dream states. And I feel like
Mm.
he kind of like almost like worked with your subconscious and would like stir things up.
I mean, I feel like the whole universe does that on every single fucking level anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that too. But I think it's like with him, it was like intentional. Like you would feel things were like being, I don't know, it just felt like plucked out sometimes. I don't remember like
Yeah.
specific experiences, but I remember like having times where like I would feel him walking with me in like a dream or a meditation, and then I would see like different shapes, and it was like pulling energy up. And then I just stopped working with him. Never felt him again. Never. I like randomly. Sometimes, if I get into like certain spaces, I'll feel a little bit of his energy. But yeah. But I guess some people interpret him like some people interpret Crawley as evil,
I mean, he
and
encouraged it.
I think he you got to realize like somebody like him during the time period when he was alive, like his ideas were probably insane to people of that time. I feel like now he wouldn't seem as insane, you
No,
know?
yeah, but who knows? If he existed during this time, maybe he'd be even more fucking wild.
Yeah, I think he just liked to like push, the edges and
I
like
can
put
relate.
yeah, and like push what's like taboo and like why they're taboo, and then like it's like sex and all the things that like the church kind of teaches you is evil is really like what empowers us the most.
Absolutely. Well, it can empower us the most. It can also
Yes.
disempower us the most.
Yeah.
Um, Two things. First of all, when you're talking about the platonic solids, I'm thinking of the one, the all, the everything being a torus sphere slash a sphere, and that being kind of the perfect shape in that it doesn't have any facets or edges. And then outside of that, you've got those platonic solids in which they are like as symmetrical as they can be, but with facets. And that
Yeah.
does feel like kind of like if you were thinking about the universe through the lens of geometry, that would be like the first kind of step down or the first break from the sphere into something more fragmented, so to speak. And if you're thinking about fractals, that's kind of like that would be like the first kind of step. Whereas, like, if you come all the way down to our density, it is like ultimate fractal kind of energy. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like there's so much complexity in this physical world. Like, this blanket that I'm touching has all of these like tiny little facets. And anyway, uh, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, I'm at this point now in which like part of the reason why the physical doesn't stir me up so much is because I have never conceived of any of the thing like I feel like you kind of really rally against like the government and organizational structures and hierarchies and all these things, and like people, I don't know, even the people who rewrote some of the holy texts to theoretically try to gain more control over the masses. um I'm seeing it all as like it's all a part of the game in this very literal way. Like, I'm just like, if we didn't have the kind of oppression that we've had over the last couple hundred years, maybe we wouldn't be waking up right now. Maybe it's just like the universe like with everything, like confronting us with our shit, squeezing us energetically in order to change. And then as I'm saying that, I'm thinking about like contractions in childbirth. Like in order to get that baby out, the pressure has to kind of like build.
Yeah.
Like this is what all of these like bad, whatever evil aspects of the universe are here to facilitate. Like you wouldn't have change if you only had all of the things that you liked all of the time. Like then there does need to be that polarity. And it almost feels like in this physical realm, like it's a great polarity. And there's nothing like, fuck, this is gonna be challenging maybe, but there's nothing in this world that's like immoral. Like it, it's just part of the experience. It's just like who you wouldn't have the fun stories that you have if there wasn't a bad guy on the other side. Like it's why we like movies so much, and why we're kind of getting over movies so much now, because it's becoming like very two-dimensional. We're just like, oh, okay, like there's a bad guy and there's a good guy. Like the good movies nowadays are the ones that have fucking nuance and far less black and white in them. And that's kind of where I'm getting to with this experience, is like I don't judge anyone who rewrote a holy text to try and hypnotize the masses. I'm just like, that's just part of the game. It's part of the fucking story. Like we clearly wanted to experience it because here we are. And you, like people like you and I to a degree, are just here to fucking keep crunching it and start the new thing. Like it's like we're turning the page of a book into a new chapter. We've taken this video game out of the Xbox and we're putting a new disc in. We're just changing the flavor of the fucking game, theoretically,
Yeah.
depending on what the collective elects in this timeline, which is really what you elect in your timeline.
Yeah. It's that simple. Just change your story.
I mean, like it's not simple in the sense that if you like zoom all the way in on the human perspective, obviously there's great upheaval and tumultuousness and death and all of the things that we don't like to personally experience. But from a zoomed out perspective, the universe is here for experience. We're just experiencing different things. Like I think that we're kind of going to a different level of reality, but at the same time, I'm like, what if we're just changing the flavor of reality? Like, what the fuck is levels anymore? What the fuck is the hierarchy? Like, all we're doing is just changing vibration into a different state, because there is no up or down.
Yeah. Well, that's
Those dimensions don't exist.
yeah.
They're conceptual.
Well, and I think like it's gonna self-organize. So it's like there, no matter which way we're going, there's always
Yeah.
gonna be something that is always like shifting, and there's gonna be things that are just structures in the new reality. It might be structured differently, but there's gonna be like a structure to it. Even if it's like even if like everybody has their own sovereignty, that's a structure,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly. If you self-organize, the universe will self-organize. If you don't self-organize, the universe will feel very fucking chaotic to you. When I saw the universe open up to me when I was reading that comic book that time, the whole thing was like a fucking spaghetti mess. It was pure chaos. And yet there was an order to it. And I feel like all the universe is like all of these levels of chaos and order and chaos and order and chaos and order. And it's like it's just the perspective. And if we're talking about chaos and order, really what we're talking about is like the empress and the emperor. We're talking about the masculine and the feminine energies, not genders. Order being masculine, chaos being feminine. And it's like we just switch between the two, much as we switch between, I don't know, the poles. Everything in life is just like the one, the zero, and whatever the fuck is in between the one and the zero.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
that felt so fucking good. I feel like I just came everywhere. You know what I mean?
Why?
I when I just like pull the universe through my fucking crown and out my throat, it's like, and then I get to the end of one of the like spiels, I'm just like, oh yes, like it just feels so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like part of me definitely struggles with like fully embodying any belief. Or
Why?
like um I don't know, cuz I just think everything feels like it's always changing, and I feel like I don't really have something I fully believe in
Mm-hmm.
cuz I don't know, like I just feel like we're so susceptible to like, believing our own stories and not really like, I don't know, like I guess I feel like I want to know a truth, and I don't feel
You
like
want order.
yeah.
You want order. It's like you are wildly. It's like you're like, if I don't have order, then I will have only chaos.
Yeah, that feels true.
So, like, and look, I think the path of the mystic is being able to hold both in any, like, when I have clients, I'm like, I meet them pretty well on their level. I will still be guiding them up to mine, but I have to work within their belief structure. So I just buy into it. And then afterwards, I'll buy out of it. Like, it's that simple. When you have that detachment, you can utilize order and chaos to go in and out of things, to solidify stuff and then release it and allow it to get chaotic again. And that's also the path of the magician and the alchemist and all of these things, is like, um it's utilizing the energy. It's consciously choosing what you are choosing to believe and not choosing to believe, what you're buying into, what you're buying out of. It's like you need both. And I think the reluctance, and don't get me wrong, because I do this as well, I think the reluctance to have any kind of structure to reality can be actually quite detrimental to the sense of self, the character you're playing, the life that you want to build for yourself.
Yeah.
Because then you're just kind of like at the full brunt force of like the void, and just like the chaos swells around you. Whereas if you just give yourself um, permission to kind of create some order or structure, which I think you have anyway, because you're a medium and we talk about these deities and we talk about these constructs and all kinds of stuff. Like, there's clearly stuff you believe. It's just like there's also clearly a hesitation to um, announce it, or like, kind of plant the flag at times.
Yeah, because I feel like there's people that I witness who have their flag fully planted,
Hmm.
and it's not true for me. So it's not like a universal truth.
So what I'm hearing in the subtext is that you see someone with their flag fully planted in something that you don't believe, and you judge them for being stupid or silly in a way, maybe something like that.
Um, no, I think it's like I think that I feel like the universe or reality is so much more complex than we even comprehend.
Yeah.
So it's like to be like set in any one thing. Even new age people, like whatever they're even set in, it's like I don't think we really understand it. So if we don't really understand it, how can we like claim something?
It's it's just a structure. It's just what's working for someone in any given moment, right? There is an infinite amount of perspectives in the universe. Some of them cannot hold that much complexity. I couldn't hold that much complexity when I was 10, let alone 20, let alone what, like, do you know what I mean? I've expanded my mind to this point in which I can hold this level of complexity from the universe. There's probably more, almost definitely. Of course there is. Not all of it can fit into a human brain. Um let's not discount the necessity for other people to have constructs and beliefs that like help them feel secure, that help them explore a concept, because all we're doing is exploring. All of these beliefs and structures and constructs and things just help us explore certain energies and vibrations and decide what we want to learn from them. That's it. So like when I see someone buying into something that feels small-minded to me, I'm just like, okay. You know what I mean? I'm just like, that's just the reality they're living in. No big deal. Like, what's wrong
Yeah.
with that?
Nothing. I'm not judging it. I just think like I don't have something that I feel that way. Really. Like I think
I just don't buy it.
yeah, I think I'm trying to think of like what I really believe.
Can I give you a like hot perspective flip right now?
Sure.
You deciding to plant your flag in pure fucking chaos, and I don't know, what solidly I could say about the universe is a rigidity.
What do you mean? Oh, like
Yeah. Like you've
not really
decided that you
taking a
don't
claim.
that you yeah. It's like I'm staking a claim and not staking a claim, and it's like the actual fluidity is both.
Yeah.
It's like not rigidly clinging to anything, but at the same time being able to step in and out of anything at your whim.
What do I think is true about the universe? I think I'm God.
Okay. What else?
I think everybody's God.
Mm-hmm.
I think I feel like that might be
Is that it?
what I really believe, like firmly believe, is I think we're God. Everybody's
Mm-hmm.
God. I think we choose our experience. I think we consent to our experience.
Mm-hmm.
I
On
like
some
that
level,
better.
yeah.
I like that better. I don't like choose. Um, I think everything is a reflection of the internal.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't feel sure about like the separation between the self and the collective. I don't understand it fully. So I guess that's all I really believe.
What do you mean about you don't with the self and the collective? Can you dig into that?
Sometimes I think there's separation from the collect, like you are living your own life, but then there's another part of me that thinks, it's like past lives, right? We were going to talk about past lives anyway. Past lives are there's people who like I think there's two schools of thought. There's the school of thought that like you V as an individual have like other past lives, or they could be parallel lives, or they could be simultaneous lives happening right now. But it's like I think there's people who believe like you, the individual soul V, like your last incarnation was Roman gladiator or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the thought like if we are all one, I'm Pete, right? But I'm also there's you or me, so it's like there is no real past lives. It's like one universal consciousness, and like I'm choosing to view in on Pete right now. You're choosing to view in on V, and we're the same entity, just having different physical experiences.
Question.
Yeah.
When you have gone up to the non-physical or to the non-physical, um, have you ever been able to tap out of Pete and tap into someone else?
Yeah, I would say yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, like another like living physical being, let's say. Like, have you been able to pull yourself out of this body and put yourself in a different one?
I would in dream states. I feel like I have.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a hard thing to do, even if it's possible. Like I feel like it's just hard in the sense that like your conscious mind. It's like almost like it would be. I feel like comparable to like consenting to an ego death, like consciously like
Right.
having an ego death where you're just like, all right, I'm gonna dissipate my identity
Yeah, but
right
we
now.
we do that all the time.
Yeah, but I don't think it's like really like fully conscious.
Mm.
You know, like I think there's a part of you that has to step back and like,
That's
uh,
the ego death, is it not?
yeah, but it's like I don't think it's. I think it's harder to just be like ego death. Like I think it's kind of like a culmination of like experiences and awareness, and it kind of just like clicks in. You know, like it's
Maybe.
like a click of awareness. Where like if you're just like, oh, I want to step back from my identity, I think it's much. You would have to be a very conscious, gifted person.
That's the thing, right? Like, if you conceptualize it as stepping out of a vibration into a different one and into a different vibration, then there's no attachment to the ego. This is purely theoretical. If you are going, oh, I have to let go of part of myself, that's what's holding you into this current identity still, because you're still identifying with Pete, the self. You know what I
No, explain it again. I'm
mean?
sorry.
If you like, if you conceptualize, this is probably not going to land because it's purely theoretical and I haven't experienced it yet. But like, if you conceptualize it as you are, like, you're a vibration right now, right? You can unidentify with this vibration, become another vibration, just like that. You know, maybe there's a transitory vibration in between them
Yeah. So
instead of go on.
no, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
Well, I had to explain the other half, but maybe you got that part, so fire away.
Well, so this is kind of what I was saying in terms of like I don't fully understand that aspect of like
Mm,
the separation between me and you, or like the separation between like me and the collective,
mm-hmm,
because it's like anybody who's had like some sort of ego death or like a deep psychedelic trip has had the experience of like the oneness, like the awareness that we are all one, right?
mm-hmm.
But my level of understanding of like why am I in this, like why is there the separation between me and you?
I mean, A, there isn't. It's an illusion.
Yeah, but
B,
why is there an illusion?
so that we can talk to ourselves and self-reflect and have fun experiences.
But
Because if
why?
like when, be, what do you mean? Why fun?
But yeah, like what's the purpose of the separation? Like I feel like that's the thing we're coming up with. Like we're making, like even me saying, "Oh, it's all about experience," but like in the oneness state there is no experience really because it's a simultaneous moment.
Precisely. Uh, I think there is like, so the way that Bashar explains it is that there is a, a version of the one, the all, the everything that is not consciously aware of itself because there is nothing to reflect back against, to compare against. Then
Okay,
there is a
what
version
does
of the
V
one, the all,
think?
the, well, What does V think? Um, I'm on board with that. I would describe it differently, but I feel like that's a more elegant way of describing it.
I
Like
I
in it,
don't.
it's what you don't what.
I want to hear V's explanation. I don't like the elegant version. Like, what do you feel like is the real reason for, or like why are you focused in on V and I'm focused in on P,
It
and like
feels good to
where's
be
the
V.
separation?
It feels so fucking good to be V.
Yes. The fuck out of here! What the?
What?
Yeah,
It feels so fucking good to be V. Like,
yeah.
I just love it. Like, for so much of my life, I was trying to not be V because it was too threatening, too scary for both myself and people around me because of the experiences that I fucking went through. And now that I have found V, shit, like, I'm having a good time and I'm going to have an even better time because all I do is keep finding more and more of myself. So it just feels more and more like blissful and amazing.
Hmm.
Um,
So just, I know this is probably going to break the flow of the conversation, but I feel like I have to say this.
okay.
As you're saying that, right? Like that whole like signature of the solar plexus like kicked on in my body. So I
Tell
found
me
that
more.
as soon as you start saying that whole thing, like I felt activation in like your solar plexus in the same spot that like we feel that solar plexus dad boundary issues. So I find that really
Uh-huh.
interesting.
I find it interesting too. Like as you ask me like what's the purpose? Why am I V? And I'm like it's so and it feels like a fucking orgasm. You know what I mean? Like it just feels I'm so happy to be who I am. that's that's all
I
that it
feel the
is.
same
Like
way.
yeah.
Yeah, I do. I sincerely do. Like I feel like I love myself. Like I love being who I am.
Fuck yeah.
But is there anybody who doesn't really feel like being themselves? Like I don't know.
Yeah, because I lived in that for decades.
Yeah. Yeah, but deep down you didn't feel like there was like you knew like
This is the
you loved
part
yourself.
this is the part of like finding oneself again. You know what I mean? Like this is the part of identifying more with the soul than with the ego. Is like uh all you're really doing is like allowing your full frequency to flow through you
Yeah.
as much as it can in any given moment, which I think as we move through these lives that we're in is only going to keep amplifying because we have so much momentum now for like awakening and consciousness and authenticity and being self and embracing the individual self instead of trying to fit in with the collective.
Yeah.
But it's going to, in that, in embodying that, it will reflect out and trigger people who have not found that same self love and confidence. And they will have the experience of like, this is horrifying, whatever the fuck. Like, and that's, we're always doing that. It's always like kind of sprinkling through the collective at any given time. And I think that the art of going back to the one, the all, the everything is, it's not this like buying out of the identity of Pete. It's both identifying as Pete and as the one, the all, the everything that just fucking loves what Pete's about and loves living Pete's life. It's, you gotta do both. You have to love the ego, the healthy, genuine, actual, authentic ego. And that's how you tap into that like full source consciousness fucking pillar of light like flowing through the crown into everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, I mean I feel like I've been in those spaces where I have felt that or like a glimpse of that.
I was just in one.
Why'd you get out?
We started intellectualizing it.
Yeah. Is that the issue? Is like we
I mean, I can't literally walk around just being like, it's so good to be me all the time, I guess.
why not?
But well, I like in a literal sense, right? Like I can't literally just be like fucking glowing uh about being me necessarily, maybe, I don't know, but um I think that that is kind of like what we do when we're like really living in like enjoyment and gratitude of ourselves and our lives, and then like letting that filter into whatever we're doing in the moment, right? Because like you've got the physical body, and at least for now there is aspects of having the physical body that requires upkeep, right? Having showers, doing the dishes, taking care of the whatever, blah blah blah. And the more gratitude and enjoyment of self that you can pour into those activities, the more um shit enjoyment you're going to get out of life, and the more kind of like opportunities that come, and so on and so forth, or like the opportunities to do more of that. And like, you know what I mean, I'm sitting on a podcast right now, which I'm clearly fucking built for, with this voice and this expression and the ability to articulate aspects of the universe, in my opinion. um and theoretically anyway, like the enjoyment of that will bring more opportunities to do that.
Yeah. So if you're a generator, sacral authority, you're feeling activated.
Hmm.
The more you feel activated, the more activated or the more activating experiences you'll attract.
Yes, absolutely, in a plethora of different flavors.
Yeah. But it's like I still kind of like don't feel clear or I don't fully understand like the separation aspect of it. Like the illusion aspect of it. You know, like it I
Ask me
always
questions.
I don't know, I think like the whole like multiverse idea of like even now, right? There's infinite amount of multiverses where you are experiencing all different things, right?
Hmm.
As V, like we're not even talking about like the separation between, you know, universal consciousness and individual identity. I'm talking just V. There's an infinite amount of you that has made infinite amount of different choices.
Hmm.
Like why is the consciousness focused on this one?
Because I transmuted all the other ones.
What does that mean? Come on, that's I feel like that's a woo woo like answer. Like
So every time I transmute, what I'm doing is I am reclaiming a piece of my soul, right? There's a piece of my soul that was like conceptually, right? Not literally, but conceptually ripped away from me and resided in an experience when I was 6. There's a piece of my soul that was ripped away from me and resided in an experience when I was 8, so on and so forth. Every time you self betray, part of you kind of, and like understandably self betray, but part of you gets lost, conceptually lost, not literally lost, it's just conceptually lost. And when you transmute, you are reclaiming those parts of soul. This is soul retrieval in shamanic terms.
yeah, yeah.
You bring it back to you. When you reclaim the part of that soul, that timeline moving forward dies off. Like you will not experience the timeline in which more of those shitty negative experiences come up because you've learned the lesson, quote unquote, but all that is just you've reintegrated that aspect of soul. It's like that fucking movie you were talking about with Jet Li, where he like kills off all the other versions of himself, but it's not this like, fuck it, I hate, or I want the ultimate power in this like greedy way. It's just like, um ultimately it's self-care in my opinion. And every time we integrate, we become a higher aspect of self, in the sense that we have more of our soul back, and therefore more of our attention, filtered through all the different layers of reality, is pouring into whichever timeline in which you have the most aspects of soul.
That makes sense.
The the more like the more of your full whole soul that you can embody into this lifetime, um yeah, the more that you get out of it, the more focus the universe has on like you enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I always think of like, you ever see it? You know who He Man is?
Yeah, I'm thinking of a specific song from, is it like Camp Kill Yourself?
What?
Oh no, wait, that's, is it Beastman and Skeletor? Never mind. I know who He-Man is.
Skeletor, yes. Skeletor is He
Yeah.
Man. So
Okay.
then you're probably
Yeah,
not going to get this reference, but
go ahead.
so He Man was originally a cartoon, but there was like in the 80s, they made a movie of He Man and
Yep.
Dolph Lundgren. You know who Dolph Lundgren was?
Mm-hmm.
He played He Man, just to paint a picture.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, in He Man, like they have this thing. I forget what it's called. I think it's called like the Cosmic Key, right?
Yeah.
And I saw this as a representation of like who we are, or this is how they tried to explain it to me, because everybody always uses like the torus field as like how to explain like the energetics. But in He-Man, they have this cosmic key that basically opens up cosmic doorway. And it and this is kind of how I see like our energy is like it's actually almost like a musical instrument, and he presses different keys, and then as he presses keys, like this light like starts to come out of, and it rotates and opens up a doorway. But I feel like it's kind of a great metaphor for like doing our own work and healing. Like you allow yourself more like of a, I don't know, I've been thinking about this a lot, but I don't know how to explain it clearly. That it's almost like we're this musical instrument that as we access more aspects of ourselves, we can create almost like a greater symphony
Mm-hmm.
with the instrument. I feel like there's more here, but I have to like talk it out more. Because
Go nuts.
I think like the fixed star stuff that I do almost like opens you up to more like more light in your body, or more,
I can attest to that.
or like it accesses like finer frequencies, I guess, and those finer frequencies kind of bring up the denser frequencies,
Mm-hmm.
or at least that's how I feel it. What it does, I don't
Absolutely.
really fully understand exactly what it's doing, but
I would say that as you integrate aspects of self, you gain more light, which is just consciousness. It's awareness, and as you gain more awareness, you become more aware of like more of self. You know what I mean? The shadow aspects. Every single one, like as you gain more positive belief, the negative beliefs stand out fucking more. You're just like, whoa,
yeah,
where did that come from suddenly? Whereas like back in the day, you would have just been like, yep, that's just how life is. Like, um, it's yeah, you just reach a point of almost like no return. You reach a point of momentum in which it's just like you can't ignore the stuff anymore because
yeah,
it's so clearly like out of fucking alignment, out of frequency in your life or in yourself that you have
yeah.
to just address it.
Yeah, well, even talking, we were talking about the friends and like feeling like disconnected with certain frequencies, I feel like the more work I do, the more it's like you're aware of like what you want and like what feels good and then like what doesn't resonate. You know, it's like the
Mm-hmm.
voice is like, I know I want to do this podcast.
Mm.
You know, like I feel it, I know it,
Mm.
whatever. Where
Sacred
like I
yes.
think like sometimes, you know, I would do different projects just to kind of like do them and put myself out there, but I wasn't like, I'm not fully into them,
Yes.
you know? And
Exactly.
now it's like, I don't even waste my time with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, oh, I know I want to do this. That's it.
Yeah.
Or I want to do this or that, you know?
Which is having more awareness of what's aligned. And, you know, ironically, as we're talking about this, I'm seeing that this exchange between you and I, right? Like you're good at physical, I'm good at emotional. You're good at belief, I'm good at mental, probably. I mean, obviously, we're good at all of these things ultimately. But then you have this thing where you can really focus in on like the pleasure and the stuff that you like out of life. Whereas I had, I wouldn't say an inability to do that, but the focus of mine was so focused in on all the stuff that I did not like out of life, which as soon as I got my tools back, the shadow work, um I was like, oh, this it's for a purpose, so that I can like hunt down and find every single part of myself that's not in alignment, that's like, you know, lost somewhere in the fucking void, and like soul retrieve it back to myself. So, and I feel like we're kind of exchanging that, like you, there's this aspect of like I'm helping you kind of also tilt your view more into the darkness so that you can integrate those aspects, and then there's a part of you that's helping me like focus on like the light and like the pleasure aspects of life and just really enjoying self and like rolling around in it. So Venusian.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
You don't
I'm
know.
still breaking it down. I'm still like feeling, I still cautiously feel things out, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and see where it goes and, you know, what it makes me feel and think and like what I associate with and like what's coming up with that, you know.
What is coming up with that right now, Pete?
I feel like no, I feel like you definitely help me see like projections, and I feel like the more you help me see it, the more I see it in myself and also see it in others.
Mm-hmm.
And even like working with people or working with clients or friends or family or whatever kind of, I was trying to teach my son Luke like projection today actually, or like what projection is
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, because he's like similar thing that I dealt with was like he's a big kid. He's like 5'5" and he's like 10 years old. And he's like so much bigger than everybody else. And like
Wait, he's
something,
10 and 5'5"?
yeah,
What the fuck?
yeah.
I'm like 5'9". What the hell? How tall is he gonna be?
Hopefully like 7 foot. I don't know.
Hopefully.
My wife, I'm 6'3" and my wife's 6'1".
He's
And
gonna have to like duck going through doors.
yeah, no, he's definitely gonna have those issues. But like an issue that I always faced kind of growing up is I was always bigger and stronger than everybody, but like people always kind of projected their own weakness onto me. Like I would always get like the whole thing that I was too rough or too tough, and like um, especially like with physical like competition and stuff like that.
Mm.
Like I remember kind of always trying to be aware of my own strength. Even like I used to do like Brazilian jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, and guys, people would say like I was rough, but I was
Mm-hmm.
just like I was stronger than them.
Mm-hmm.
And like his friends have been like kind of like ganging up on him because he's like much more physically like genetically gifted,
Mm.
and it's like they're saying he's like What?
No, I'm just
What are
just
you
the physical
laughing about?
aspect. I'm just laughing. I said that you were really good at the physical, and then there's all these like immediately afterwards, there's all this like physical stuff.
Yeah. Well, so he like his friends. It's kind of comedic. The kids that he's close with in like our neighborhood are all smaller kids, and it's like like if you see a picture of him and his friends, it looks like he's the big brother, and they're like little, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
they've been like kind of teaming up on him because he's just like a better athlete. He's better built, you know, and he's like kind of dominating. And it's like they're like trying to say he's being too rough, and he's not. Like he's not even really a rough kid,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I'm around him a lot of times. I could tell. Like my daughter Anna, if somebody said, "Oh, she's being rough," I'd be like, "Yeah, she's being rough.
Uh-huh.
She's you know, she'll barrel through people." But like they're all kind of like projecting stuff onto him because of, you know, whatever. So I was trying to explain it to him, but I don't know if he really got it yet. But I don't know where I had a point to that story before I started.
I was asking you how you were interpreting because you said I have to think about stuff and I have to see how I react to it, and I was like, and how are you reacting to it? And then you started talking about how tall your son is.
There was
I
more
think
to it. I think we missed the
I'm sure
spot.
there was. Okay.
Uh,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that you were projected on as a kid for being too
Oh
rough.
yeah, yeah. So like I think, you know, you just have to always interpret how you're being seen, because I think like people have their own shit, and it's not always obvious that, like, you know, people don't always share what they're projecting, so you sometimes you don't really know
Don't I
what they're
fucking know it?
projecting,
Yeah.
you know.
That was pretty much my whole life. Like I was given the structure and framework that everyone's feedback of me was accurate and I needed to listen to it all the time, essentially. And that's what I did. And it resulted in me constantly pulling myself apart and having no sense of identity because I was just like, I'm just constantly hearing all of these different like reflections of myself. And I guess they're all true. And I was trying to make sense of it all the time. And it's just like, it's just fucked. You have to have an awareness of it in the sense that you have to have an awareness of like the structure of projection and things like that. You certainly don't need to have an awareness of it in the sense that like you constantly need to be like buying into other people's assertions of you. But there is also a way to understand the projection and check in with whether or not you're being in alignment with who you are or what you want to do or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean?
um yeah, I don't know though, because I feel like people are always going to have their projections. You live your life.
Yeah, but it's also like um take for the example of your son, right? People are saying you're too rough because they're feeling perhaps weak, but what about if they're feeling like physically hurt? You know what I mean? And even though they're putting it through this lens of like projection and you're at fault for something, they could, if you know, maybe if they were better educated at self-reflecting, and these are kids we're talking about, right? Like, they could be like, "Oh, that hurt me," and then there's like, there's a more vulnerability in that, and then maybe I don't know these situations or scenarios up close, but maybe there is also an aspect of being, you know, kind of the strongest person, the biggest person in the room, in which with consciousness and self-love you can find a kind of gentle giantness. Do you know what I mean? Like horses can
Yeah.
just fuck us up, and they're very like typically anyway, it's violent horses, but typically they're actually quite gentle and like they have this awareness of where we are and like not just crush us up against the wall of the stable or whatever the fuck. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you have to have an
Well,
awareness of self and how you're affecting people. And I'm the
that's
same,
funny.
right? I'm very Plutonian. What?
No, I just watched like a whole show about a horse.
There you go.
Well, because it's
Synchronicities.
like it was this guy. So my daughter, like we've been talking about moving, and I talked to my kids about moving, and now my daughter is basically has it in her head that we're definitely moving, and we're gonna have a farm, and I'm gonna get her a horse.
Maybe she's
So
tapped into a different timeline.
yeah, she's been doing like the last 2 weeks, ever since I just talked to them about the possibility of it, has been drawing like pictures of her with like a stable of horses. So she watches like sometimes my kids will watch this like brain rot stuff on YouTube. So I told her, why don't you watch like how to raise a horse or like
Mm.
whatever instead of like watching. They don't watch it a lot, but it's like where it's like basically gibberish. So
Hmm.
I was like, watch something on horses. So we've been watching like shows on horses, and I watched this guy, and he talked about like training horses. And the one I'm talking about though was like this guy, and he was basically, it seemed like he was like presenting for a group and like
Hmm.
talking about it.
Right. Okay.
And something he said that kind of caught me off guard was that like horses look at us as predators.
Sometimes.
Well, he's talking like evolutionary wise,
Yes.
like
Yep.
the way our face structure is, they see us as a predator, which I wouldn't
Mm.
have thought that, to be honest, even though obviously it makes sense because we are predators, but it's like
Mm.
I view them as more like powerful than us, like
Physically, yeah.
yeah. So I just, and the way he was just like talking about like how to, train the horse in the beginning and like what to do, like even just like using your hands lets them know that you're like showing your hands lets them know that you're the stronger animal in a way.
They very much respond to energy. Like there's a fucking psychic element to them. They're so tapped into source.
Yeah, but I forget where we were before this.
Brain rot.
I don't know. I think I'm
You're
running out of steam.
really.
Yeah. Nah, I'm just like I think I slept too much today. It took like
Oh.
I've been trying to like chill on Sunday and just like really not try to do anything other than like I went for like a walk and I took my two kids for like a hike and just like try to really just like chill and hang out on Sundays. But I feel like sometimes I feel like a little groggy just from like not being very active.
You went on a hike and that's not very active for you?
No, it was like it was like an hour hike. It was like a walk. I need
Hmm.
like strenuous like generator activity.
I do almost nothing. I literally stay in bed all day and I have so much energy. Like, not in a destructive way. Just
Yeah. I've kind of
generators
been
respond to
honestly
different things.
I've been kind of like reevaluating my thoughts on like activity and like fitness and like um the need to like feel like physically drained,
Mm.
you know?
Hmm.
Like, and there's always been like a kind of like a connection to like productivity and like feeling like I've done enough, you know?
Hmm.
Because I was, the more I read about like nervous system regulation and like hormone levels and stuff like that, like I feel like I have like a belly, like I always want to be like lose the belly, and it's like
Mm.
I eat clean, I work out, and it's like why do I still
Cortisol.
hold? Yeah. So it's
Mm.
like, am I overdoing it? So I've been trying to like have more rest days, but it's like there's a part of me just that feels mentally satisfied from like physical activity.
Yeah, probably the part of you. Like, I feel like if you sat still for much longer than you do, you would be far more confronted with your own thoughts and beliefs.
I don't think that's. I feel like I think about my thoughts and beliefs all the time.
I think that you think about them in a productivity way.
Yeah.
I think that you spend a lot of energy picking them, and I pick them off.
I don't know. Yeah, but see, like, I feel like I think about things a lot more when I'm active.
Maybe. It's your experience.
Like, you're, like, almost like the physical activity is what helps me, like, focus. You know what I'm
Is the
saying?
physical
Like,
activity what helps you focus on the things that you want to focus on? Or is it the thing that helps you? Let me flip this. If you're sitting around and lounging, what's going through your head? Or do you just start pouring your attention into your phone instead?
no, if I'm, like, relaxing, I try to not be on my phone.
Okay, so when you're relaxing, what is going through your head?
This feels good to be relaxing. You know, like, just I feel like it's more silent when I relax.
I feel like that's how it should be. For sure.
That's what I feel. Like,
Okay.
I like laying on the couch and just like not doing anything. No TV, no phone.
So I'm wondering like why you get foggy then.
Cuz it's like it almost feels like it like slows down too much. You know,
In
like I
what
feel like
way?
when I'm active physically, it's like my mind is more activated. You
Okay.
know, like I feel like you know what it is? Actually, I didn't know this, but like part of like even like ADHD they say is like your brain isn't getting enough blood flow to certain areas, like it's a genetic thing that like so like by being more physically active you
Mm.
actually help yourself focus because your blood pumps more and then it pumps into the areas that you might be lacking like blood flow.
I just had like a horrific thought of what it might be like to have even more blood flow to my brain.
Yeah. I don't know, I had like a therapist tell me that one time because she said so I told her how like I write better after I go for like a run,
Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
and she said that like that's actually a sign of like ADHD is that like when you feel like a noticeable difference in your ability to focus after like physical activity because you have increased blood flow to the areas that I think it's like your frontal lobe like
Mm.
I don't know.
In this whole awakening thing, what I have noticed more and more and heard more and more is a lot of people, whether local to my life or on the internet, talking about how they have fuck tons of brain fog. And there is 1,001 reasons that they will prescribe it to physically, like, oh, I have long COVID or whatever the fuck. But like, I really feel like memory is changing. And because the energy is so much more focused on the higher self, people who haven't cleared out their like inner clarity, it almost like filters it out and it feels like that brain fog kind of energy. Like
Yeah.
everyone around me at the moment is like really struggling with brain fog. No, I'm not saying that's what's happening to you necessarily, but it just occurred to me.
Yeah. It could be. I mean, I don't know. I think I don't think I really necessarily suffer from like chronic brain fog though. Like I think it's really just
That's not
like what?
not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. That you suffer from that. I don't know. It's just what I bounce to. I don't. Why do you feel like you're stressed?
I don't really feel stressed.
Then why do you have so much cortisol?
I don't know. Like maybe I don't. I think I don't like. I don't think I'm stressed. I would say I'm. No, I don't want to say that word. Um,
What was the word? Now I have to know.
no, I'm not telling you. No,
What?
no.
You can't. It's too much of a tease.
Restless.
Why wouldn't you want me to hear that word, Pete?
Because that's the word you used.
Okay, so you're restless. Why are you restless?
Uh, I don't know. I just have conditioned myself to feel better when I'm active. So then I keep active if I want to feel better. And
Mm.
it's like a vicious cycle.
So that I feel like, which kind of loops us back to my original point, is like, why don't you feel good when you're not active? And I don't think it's exclusively a physical thing. I think it's a psyche thing.
Yeah.
Because if your default state is here and you use
I guess because
physical,
like I feel like if I think I conditioned myself to think that I can change things by doing them.
yeah, it's a very like masculine externalizing perspective
Yeah.
for sure.
Like if I simple thing like say I don't like things in my house, if I keep doing things to make it better, then my house will get better.
Mm.
But then it's like I don't think that's the energy you need for everything. Like I
Yeah, I mean,
think
you have to pick and choose.
yeah, but I have the personality of like, oh, this works. It works for everything. You know, where like I think sometimes you need to learn how to be like if doing things like that is masculine, I think sometimes you need like the feminine energy of like letting things unfold or like surrendering or not having an agenda. And I think like I've become aware of that, and like I said, like I try to slow down or like not have to finish everything or not have to like a younger version of myself. Like if I'm doing work in my house, a younger version of myself would work till I felt like I had to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like, oh, I could do like a half an hour today, and then tomorrow, if I don't feel like doing anything, I can allow myself like the rest or the break that I want. You know?
Mm. Yeah, there's something in this about like, how we have to kind of decondition ourselves from everything in general, but like also on the human design level. And then there's like, there's that generator aspect of like, is it lighting me up right now or is it not? And that should quote unquote be the deciding factor. But
Yeah,
then if there's something, this is the deeper level, if there's something that's giving you the impetus to keep working because it's more unpleasant to stop because then there's something else that comes up and it feels like in a kind of shadowy way, then you won't stop, right? Like you'll just like work until you fucking drop,
yeah,
basically. There's something like that was I saw that.
yeah. I yeah. I mean, I think I'm much more aware of it, so I don't do that anymore. But I think the younger version of myself kind of got burnt out from being like that. Like realized that it's not the like you can't do it forever.
Ironically, though, what you did was you applied the same method to the thing. Like you were just like, oh, okay, it seems like it's not serving me well. to work until I drop X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to change my physical behavior in the external into deciding that I'll do half an hour, stop here, take a break, da da da. And all of those things are fine and dandy. But there's still that internal aspect that is creating either the obsession or like the productivity mindset or the
Yeah.
like, do you know what I mean?
No, because I think I'm moving into more of like, does it light me up? Then I want to do it.
Yeah. Good.
Because you could tell by the way my house is getting done. It's like I do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I could be working on one room and just like leave it because it's getting boring for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, oh, I got new wood that I want to do this project. Like, then I start doing that project. I just
Does
do
it
what lights
feel
me.
like your house will be done at some point?
I don't know. I don't care. I like doing it.
This is tying in with whether or not you'll move as well, I feel like.
No, because I mean, I could sell my house as it is. Like, it's not like it's like missing parts. It's more like cosmetic, fun things to do. You know, like I had like a plaster ceiling in the room, so I was like, it bothered me because like the plaster was old and it was kind of cracked, so I ripped the whole ceiling down and I did it with wood. You know, like it's more of stuff I want to do.
Yeah, this look, it's active it is activating the thing in me. Like what I do is I see the symbolism and the metaphor. Your house is your current state of being, it's your current paradigm. You are seeing all these little things in it, in your house, in your current state of being that you are dissatisfied with, and you are like putting, and it, again, no shame or blame because whatever, you like doing this clearly, but you're putting energy in the physical to change that, to like just get that little extra oomph of satisfaction. But your energy, both mentally, consciously, and physically, is pouring into the old paradigm, the old state of being. And what you really want to do conceptually is make the jump to the new house, to the new paradigm, to the new state of being. But because you're putting energy into this, it's like the universe keeps being like, okay, so he wants to do more of this, right?
Yeah,
I'm literally seeing like levels of reality right now.
yeah. But then, like, I also want to have a finished house to sell. Like, so what do? Like, you got to fix.
Finish it.
Yeah,
Stop starting new projects and just finish up enough.
yeah,
Slap a lid on it and call it a day.
yeah,
Because it's that same like thing, right? I will keep working until I drop. You'll keep fixing the house until it's like, I don't know what the fuck. Like at some point you just got to be like, okay, I'm going to stop doing this now because there's something else that I want to be doing.
yeah. Well, I got to finish the one room because it's like the first room in my house. It's like an office
Do what you got to do.
that I redid. But I agree with you. I agree with that. Like I think about that. I've thought that thought,
Mm.
but I also kind of like just building stuff. So I'm gonna have to build something. So maybe I'll make
Build a new life.
furniture or something. I like building things.
Well, there you fucking go. Make furniture and sell it.
Yeah, I thought I had that thought, but that's what I thought about doing. Like when I first moved for like extra money is like making furniture and stuff. Like I like
Pete,
building beds and whatever desks or whatever.
A, you're onto something like hardcore, and B, what stopped you from committing to the furniture idea? Like, I feel like there were thoughts that poured in that made you go, oh, okay, I guess it's not logical or whatever the fuck.
Um, Here I was just like kind of working on my house, like I did a 2-story extension. So it's like
Mm.
I've been busy with that. I think it's realistic if I move somewhere else and I could have like a big garage and house the tools that I need to like really do it on a productive scale.
Mm.
Nothing's really.
Oh, I can't. The levels. And then you would become the carpenter, like Jesus.
I don't want to be Jesus.
No, you're reverse Jesus.
Yeah. The devil, maybe?
No, not like that. Like, it's like you know how he started as like a carpenter and then moved to being a mystic, and you've like started as a mystic and moved to being a carpenter?